Dr. Matt Carthy.
Lascan Corla, it is fitting that these Europe Day statements take place this year, just 4 weeks out from the European elections on Friday, the 7th of June. Those elections are taking place at a time when Ireland and Europe are facing many challenges, and I believe these elections will be seen as an opportunity for people to have their say on the change they want in Ireland and in Europe. We have a government that is out of touch, that doesn't understand seemingly the challenges that we're facing, certainly doesn't have the ideas or the capacity to fix them, and appears incapable, if the Taoiseach's statement is anything to go by, of uttering a single critique of the European Union. Sinn Féin believes that Ireland's place is in the European Union, but we also believe that the Irish people are best placed to make the decisions that affect them, particularly on issues such as foreign affairs, tax, investment and public services. Sinn Féin is for a European Union that works better for the people of Ireland and for the people of Europe. We're for a European Union that supports its member states, listens to what those states need and understands that most decisions are actually better taken as close to the communities that are affected by them as possible. So it's time for the European Union to focus on what matters to workers, to families, the cost of living crisis, improving workers' wages and conditions, to improving regional development, economic development, and of course enabling our young people to work, study and travel across the EU. The Common Agriculture Policy, probably the policy best defined by our membership of the EU, has served different purposes over decades, from incentivising food production to the delivery of environmental benefit. However, as its purpose has developed and expanded, its budget has been eroded in real terms with the agreement of Irish governments. Agriculture will remain a priority for Sinn Féin in Europe, and we will advocate for a reinvigorated CAP to match our ambitions of ensuring food security and delivering for the environment within a framework that will secure the family farm for generations to come. There are many other longer-term challenges, including food security, climate change and migration. On all of these issues, the European Union can support sovereign member states, or it can exacerbate the challenges that we face. The focus should be on using our common strengths to respond quickly and effectively to these challenges. EU enlargement can't be used as an excuse for moving away from unanimity to qualified majority voting or to weaken the position of smaller member states such as Ireland, or to lessen the support which the EU gives to vital sectors. Retaining our voice within the EU has to become a priority. It certainly is for Sinn Féin. I have to say, Lascan Corla, the EU's voice as a vehicle for peace and conflict resolution has been weakened by its failure to speak for those values throughout the ongoing barbaric genocide being perpetrated against the people of Palestine, and in particular in Gaza. As we stand here in the comfort of this chamber, having left our comfortable homes, we must recognise that as a European state, we stand complicit in the horror that continues to unfold in the Middle East. There, hundreds of thousands of people have left their homes also, but they were forced out decades ago. They were actually forced into Gaza, long known as the largest open-air prison in the world. There, they suffered oppression, occupation, economic hardship. Latterly, they suffered a brutal, horrendous blockade. And they endured bombardment after bombardment, assault after assault. They watched as their children were murdered again and again and again and again. For years, it seemed that it just couldn't get worse. But since last October, it has become much worse than could ever have been imagined. The people of Gaza have been forced to leave their homes again. Not once, not twice. In many instances, they have been moved 6 times, each time to circumstances more depraved than the last. And they were actually the lucky ones. 35,000 Palestinians have been murdered. 15,000 of them almost have been children. Genocide is the only term that even comes close to describing what we are seeing. The so-called lucky ones have found themselves in the middle of a humanitarian catastrophe in Rafah. There, they are denied food, shelter, fresh water, medical aid. It is collective punishment, pure and simple. All the while, world leaders have failed to respond adequately. That failure has allowed Israel to continue its genocide without consequences. Some world leaders have gone further and have actively facilitated the genocide. The United States' continued support, militarily and financial, to Israel is just inexcusable and indefensible. But so too are the actions of Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. In offering unconditional support to Israel, she enabled the Israeli actions against Palestinian children, women and men that we have seen. And therein lies our complicity. Because when Ursula von der Leyen purported to speak for Europe, she claimed to speak for us. She did not, and she does not speak for the Irish people. When the world should have been imposing sanctions on Israel for its gross violations of international law, the EU was given Israel licence to kill, a licence to starve, a licence to bomb, a licence to break every single rule in the international humanitarian rule book. And now Israel plans its final destruction of Gaza as it prepares for the invasion of Rafah. The people there, moved in some cases 6 times, are being told to move again, to where nobody can even guess. And we know what awaits the people of Rafah if Israel proceeds. We know that the 1.4 million people will face absolutely mass annihilation. Half of those who will be killed will be children. And international law and the UN Charter will be torn to shreds. All the while we talk without taking any action. Because the truth is, not a single sanction has been imposed by the EU or Ireland on Israel for its actions. They have not paid a single penalty for what they have done. And as long as that continues, we are complicit, the European Union is complicit, and we have lost our voice as a champion for peace, justice and international law. That must change, and it must change now.